Hey everybody, how you doing today? I'm coming by with a top 5 video. Haven't made these in a while, but I was inspired to make one ever since I saw these by like Wet Movie 1, Mr. Movie Night, and Pretty Wolfman, those guys. And I thought, all these guys that love horror movies, they made a video talking about the top 5 most disturbing, disgusting, glorious, shocking movies they've ever seen. And being me, Mr. ShockExtreme1, I thought I'd better do that now before I never do. So, I got a list right here, because I kept forgetting. This is probably my third take I'm doing right now, but enough of the jibber jabber. Let's go. Alright, so, definitely number 5 for me. Now, this list is going to definitely differ from other people. Some people may have similar, and a lot of people may have different. So, what I want you guys to do is, as you watch this video, leave in the comments what are your top 5 most disturbing movies. Or if even you want to, make a video response. I don't care, it's a free country, it's YouTube, who cares. But, alright, so let's start this. Number 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Yeah, I know people are going to be like, whoa. But, I watched the first one and the remake probably first. This is probably the last. I would say Leatherface was the last one I saw, but I saw this one when I was 10 or 11 years old, and, watching it for the first time, I mean, the first one didn't have that much. A few blood splats and some chicken bones hanging off the wall. It wasn't that bad for me. I could live past it, but this one, Leatherface playing with a corpse chops up, playing with a corpse, Leatherface sawing the kid's face in half and, like, having to go that type of thing with blood spewing out, chop bashing the guy's brains in, him picking off pieces of flesh from his head and eating it, Leatherface cutting off that one guy's face and putting it on that poor girl, her going through that, like, tunnel or whatever that was made of nothing but flesh and, like, bones and blood, knowing the fact that the girl at the chili eating contest was actually eating people. It was pretty disturbing for me, and now this stuff really doesn't bother me except for the number 1, but I'm mostly desensitized over all most of this shit, so number 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, definitely. Number 4, I know I'm going to get a lot of talk about this one, but number 4, House of a Thousand Corpses. Don't get me wrong, I love the movie. I love Rob Zombie, I love the characters, Baby, Otis, Tiny, Captain Spaulding, I love all of them, but the fact for me, it was pretty gory. The story behind it was like Dr. Satan and like all the Satanism in it. Growing up for me, I mean, I grew up in a Catholic home. Watching it for the first time, it's like, whoa, you've never seen this stuff before. I think this was the first like movie I've ever seen that really incorporated like pentagrams or written crosses. So it was a change for me. I've never seen anything like that. I know people today are gonna be like, that shit will fuck you up. It'll fuck me up. But yeah, that fact, them torturing everybody, them keeping, like the bodies in a barn, in the basement, playing with the bodies, just all of that. It was sick shit, and I love it though. Don't get me wrong. It's a great movie, and that's my number 4. Number 3, I think everybody pretty much has this on their list. Either this or Cannibal Holocaust, but my number 3 right now is Cannibal Holocaust. And the main reason why is because they actually used real cannibals in this movie, real jungle savages. The one disturbing scene, everybody knows, the controversial scene where the girl's impaled on the pole, which they keep insisting is real, but, the director keeps saying, they had a hole in the ground with a bicycle seat on it. The girl would stand on it, put a piece of light balsa wood in her mouth, and cover everything with blood. But you don't see her move or anything, which makes you think, like, did they really shove a pole in her? And the other disturbing fact is it's POV, which means it's from the director's point of view, so it seems like a real thing. I don't know if this movie was made before or after Peeping Tom, because either of those, Peeping Tom is called the first movie where it's told through the killer's POV, But this one is much like it. It's much more disturbing from it because you get to see them actually being chased and attacked. And all the animal death, by the way. If you don't like animal killings or like animal abuse, this movie is definitely not for you. But I think on the DVD you have an option to like censor that. But yeah, that's number 3. Number 2, I don't think many people incorporated this on their list, but I saw it and it was pretty disturbing for me. Probably the most disturbing shot on video movie I've ever seen. And it's a Japanese movie, by the way, and it's Flower of Flesh and Blood, the Guinea pig movie. And this one's pretty much like a samurai, just killing people and all that. This was that one movie where, Charlie Sheen saw it and took it to the FBI, insisting that it was a true snuff movie. But, they had to show, like, how they did everything. But it looks so real. The sound effects are gruesome and disturbing. The gore is incredible and over the top. The acting, it seems like somebody just puts a camcorder there and just like barely says any lines, but just shows like him stabbing or like blood spewing out, cutting the hands. It's pretty sick shit, and it was made mainly for the gore-hungry Japanese market in the mid-'80s, late '80s, but it was one of those few movies that inspired somebody to go out and do that shit. It really did. One guy from Japan did that to a couple girls, young girls, got caught when he was capturing his other victim. He was deemed sane and was put to death. So it just goes to show you what kind of fucked up shit can inspire other people. Much like the human centipede. But that's not my number 1 most disturbing. So number 2, Flower of Flesh and Blood. Now number 1, this by far beats anything. It beats Faces of Death. Faces of Death isn't even on this list. They can maybe be in a top 10, but no. This one is way beyond Faces of Death, excuse me. And number one, Traces of Death number 1. That, by far, out of all the 5 Traces of Death movies, Traces of Death number 1 is by far the most extreme, scariest, goriest. Well, all of them are gory, but in my opinion, I consider that the worst. Mainly because number 2 through 5, they have music in the background. They have, all different bands playing in the background, so it's not that bad. But this one is quiet through the whole thing. Like, half the time it's just muted because, they can't, I don't think they can have much of the volume, or they don't even record volume. But in this one, in the later ones, you hear metal playing, and it's not that bad, mainly because you sat through the first one. But when you're watching the first one for the first time, you're watching live footage, listening to all the sound effects in the background. You can hear people screaming, getting shot, you can hear the bullets coming out, you can hear the knife going in. You hear the people's reaction in the back. There's one scene where it's like a news report or something, and a guy runs on with a gun and just starts shooting. I don't even know what I was doing that one. The guy runs in front of the camera guy, just starts shooting the poor girl, and the camera guy just stares at her, and you can see the bullets going in. You can hear her screaming. It's like, ah! It's fucked up shit, and it goes way beyond that. There are pictures of death. When there is music, it's just cheap synth music from low-budget horror movies. If you watch Zombie Bloodbath, you can tell most of the music. Half the time it's muted, and you can hear the voice in the background, like, this man was impaled by a car. His corpse lies here to die. And it's freaky because there's no music. And, half the time it's just them. There are other things besides death. There are pictures of death, people committing suicide, sex changes. Yes, sex changes. And that's where I turned off the movie to take a deep breath. Train accidents, car wrecks, car accidents, embalmings, amputations, autopsies. I think the embalming part was weird, where, you know, they were sewing the mouth shut on the dead body, and they were like injecting the eye with something that made it like bulge out and like glue to the eye. It was really weird, and I couldn't take it. Yeah, I haven't even seen number 4 and 5. That's how bad that was weird. And trust me, if you're not a guy, if you like horror movies but you don't like real stuff, you know, you don't like seeing your own blood, you don't like seeing other people's blood, you know, this will screw you up. It will. It will very much screw you up. But number 1 for me, Traces of Death 1. But anyway, that was my top 5 most disturbing. I'll go through it again if you guys weren't listening. Number 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Number 4, House of a Thousand Corpses. Number 3, Cannibal Holocaust. Number 4, Flower of Flesh and Blood. The Guinea Pig, I'm not sure if it's the second one. And number 1, Traces of Death number 1. So anyway, leave in the comments what are your top 5 most disturbing, or even make a video response. I'd love to hear what everyone thinks. Thank you all for watching, and thank you so much for subscribing. It means a lot to me. And I promise more will come soon, so see ya.